The nearly 100,000 residents of Flint, Michigan have put up with an ongoing lead contamination crisis in their water supply now for multiple years, and they cried out, and Flint officials looked the other way until the story finally garnered national attention. Now, up until this point, there's been no accountability for the negligence of Flint officials. However, we recently learned that there might actually be justice for Flint. So, according to Michigan Live, Michigan Attorney General Bill Schwete has charged 5 water officials, including a member of Governor Rick Schneider's cabinet and a former emergency manager, with manslaughter related to their alleged failure to act during the Flint water crisis. Michigan Department of Health and Human Services Director Nick Lyon, former Flint emergency manager Darnell Early, former City of Flint Water Department manager Howard Croft, Michigan Department of Environmental Quality's drinking water chief Leanne Shekter-Smith, and former district supervisor Stephen Bush will all face involuntary manslaughter charges related to their alleged failure to act in the Flint water crisis, Schwete announced in a release on Wednesday, June 14th. Involuntary manslaughter is a felony punishable by up to 15 years in prison and or a $7,500 fine. The manslaughter charges are connected to the death of Robert Skidmore, who died December 13th, 2015, due to the area's Legionnaire's disease outbreak. Charges against Lyon were authorized early on Wednesday, June 14th, by Genesee District Judge David Gwynn. Early, Croft, Bush, and Shekter-Smith have all previously been charged in connection to the water crisis. So there's no question about this to me. This is absolutely the right move, and this isn't about vengeance. This is about justice. And if there's no accountability for negligent public officials, then this may happen again, and we have to make an example out of these public officials. We have to charge them and prosecute them, because we need to send a message to public officials throughout the country that if you have residents who are dealing with a lead contamination crisis in their water supply, you cannot look away. That's negligent. And when you also see lead contamination crisis and water pollution occurring throughout the country, not just in Flint, but in other cities, then we have to make sure that there's accountability now more than ever, because water is life. And this isn't something that we should have to fight for in a first world country. I mean, I don't want anyone to be fighting for water. Everyone should just have access to clean drinking water. I think it's a human right. But I mean, in the United States, the richest economic and military power, how can we allow residents to have a water contamination crisis and not just have universal outrage? I mean, surely the government has had, they've expressed outrage once this became a national story, but the response has been tepid. And the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, nationally speaking, they've kind of turned a blind eye and played politics with the lives of the residents of Flint. And that's not acceptable. So the fact that there may actually be accountability now is exactly what is needed. You cannot ignore the cries of residents who have lead in their water and expect to get away with it. I mean, if you're a public official and you don't want to represent these people, then just step down, get out of office. You're the one who decided to run and apply for the job that you're currently in. So if you're not going to represent the people who are your constituents, and you're actually going to allow them to be poisoned, you have no place in government, and certainly you belong in either jail or you should be prosecuted and be fined, because that's just not acceptable. So I think that this is a move that will hopefully help the situation. I mean, we want justice, but again, this isn't going to erase the pain that was caused by this water contamination crisis. It won't go away. The lives of the people of Flint are still going to be affected because, again, this is an ongoing process. Even though they now have money from the EPA to change their water pipes and replace them with non-contaminated drinking water pipes, that doesn't happen overnight. It's an ongoing process. So this is the right move, and I'm ecstatic that we may actually have some accountability once and for all. It's rare in America, but when it happens, I mean, we have to rejoice.
Support this podcast by joining the independent progressive media revolution today at humanistreport.com.